Hit the button, Tim, will you? Here we go. Gotta hit the button. Yeah, that's right. It's a holiday edition of the podcast, which means I am a step slow, can't find the buttons, can't do anything right. But that's what it is. Welcome back to the Tim Anderson Podcast. I'm Tim. That's my buddy Zach over there. First guy in tonight into the chat space. Hello, Zach, the coach, the coordinator, the owner of the Green Bay Packers. Hello, Zach.
Hey, Tim. How's it going?
Living the dream, my friend. Good to see you. Happy first day of your Thanksgiving break, and hope you're enjoying it.
Well, were you off all day today?
I was. I did my flex PD, so I did not go in.
Our flex PD days are different than yours.
Oh, really?
So we were in today, but we still have 2 more coming.
Okay. I did. Yeah, I totally worked out of that one. And then tomorrow, but I do plan to go in tomorrow, even though my grades are done, plan to go in and get a few small things taken care of prior to the next try, just so that I don't have to worry about it when I show up.
I'll be in very briefly in the morning, and then I'm going to get back here. They're cutting down the Christmas tree tomorrow.
Oh,
for
fun.
The city. And then Carter and I are off to college visit.
Ooh, very impressive.
So busy day.
That is busy. That's fantastic. Good on you and good on Carter. Hope that goes well. And on the other side, wearing his Ohio State hoodie, demanding everybody Google him because Ohio State needs that attention. I'm surprised your guys didn't storm the field against Indiana the way you guys were so haughty, at the end of that game. Ryan Hawkinson Kane, as I was ready to call you after yesterday's game. There you go. What's up, Rhino?
You storm the field when you don't expect to win, and you've lost to Penn State twice since 1980. I'm not worried about it. I don't think anyone else was either. Indiana.
Yeah.
I had something that said Penn State up on my screen. Sorry.
Can I just say, though, for the record, speaking of storming the field, got to put a stop to it. Got to do it. You got to figure out something. This is too much.
You don't see that in Columbus. You don't see it in Ann Arbor, as much as I don't like those folks.
We shouldn't see it in Norman, Oklahoma. We shouldn't see it anywhere.
You don't see it in Fargo.
Yeah.
SEC teams that have won national titles should not be storming the field for any reason.
You shouldn't storm the field, period.
No. I get that. But when Vanderbilt beats Alabama, whatever.
Okay, yeah, right? We can talk about Vanderbilt beating Alabama, but
you do your thing. But, if you're Oklahoma storming the field, you're Oklahoma, man. What are you doing?
Yeah, Barry Switzer's alive, but he'd be rolling over in his grave if he was coherent and watched that. I mean, he'd be like, what are we doing? What are we even doing?
You've been there.
Also, they're storming the field before the game's over.
The game's not even over yet. What the hell are we doing?
That's twice in the last 2 weeks we've seen fans on the field, and they have to herd them off to the sidelines so you can take the final kneel down.
Somebody's going to get hurt before they do anything about it. Like, all it's going to take is some old lady getting trampled by a bunch of drunken 18-year-olds trying to get on the field, and that's going to be it for that.
All I'm saying is act like you've been there.
There's no deterrent for the students.
That's true.
Right? The deterrent is the team, the school gets a fine. Well, that doesn't stop the kid from running out there.
It's true.
They don't care. They don't have to pay it. So, yeah, they're going to come up with something to figure out the situation because it's too much. It's happening way too often. And now it's happening before the game is over. That's like even worse.
And I think
Tim had the right idea on Saturday.
Yeah. Let's just you lose the game. Sorry. Yep. Game's forfeited to the other side. I would call that, it's kind of like pro wrestling when the manager gets busted for outside interference. That's the end of the match. The winner by disqualification. You give it to the other team. That's it. Yep. That'll stop it in 5 seconds. I promise you.
It's not saying you can't rush the field. It's saying if you rush the field early, you forfeit the game.
100%.
It simply cannot happen.
You got to do something about it. And
a bunch of guys buying tickets for road games and storming the field when the team is down.
It's not bad. That's not bad. I just think you got to either tighten up the security or you got to do something. You got to do something else because it's not working. Whatever you're doing is not working, and somebody's going to get hurt. That's
all the cadets are on the field against Notre Dame.
Yeah. Oh boy, Notre Dame would have to maybe take a powder on that one, get out of there as fast as they could, because I don't think you want to mess with those cadets. That's not the matchup you want.
Well, it wasn't much of an issue in the game itself.
Yeah, in the game itself, not really. And to be honest with you, some of the Army cadets we got over at the high school, I don't think right now are fit to run a car wash, much less hold a weapon in the military. I mean, that's just no disrespect to people who run car washes, but these guys are not meant for semi-automatic weapons. Just going to say that. Going to throw that out there. Welcome to the pod, everybody. Ryan's got the full hood up, too, which is a very interesting look. Like he's going to go for a run at the end of this podcast. But nice to have you.
My son broke my headphones, so this is how I'm holding them together.
That's not even right.
So.
You heard of duct tape?
I have heard of duct tape. I can't find it, and the pod was in 5 minutes. So,
oh my God. Here I thought you were making some kind of statement, and it's just to keep your headphones in.
Just to keep my headphones in.
That's just awesome. I love it. Gentlemen, it is the special Thanksgiving edition of the podcast. We come here every year around this time to do a pod, and we're thankful for lots of things football-wise. This week, we've got a slew of games, 3 on Thanksgiving. I don't know how good they are. We get Bears-Lions Thursday. We get Giants-Cowboys. We get Dolphins-Packers, which is kind of entertaining. And then you get a Friday game. You get Raiders-Chiefs. So you get football a lot this week. Pretty exciting stuff. I like Thanksgiving. Again, we talked about this last year, I think, Rhino, but I think it bears repeating. Thanksgiving might be my favorite holiday. Might be my favorite one. Because you don't have to do anything. It's just eating and football.
Somebody's got to cook that food, Tim.
Yeah, that's fair. It's not me, but yes, go ahead. Ryan, you say no.
I'm a Christmas guy. I love Christmas. I will always love Christmas. I was just telling Lauren tonight that I might end up getting a Christmas tattoo.
Jesus. Of Santa Claus? Or what are you going to get there?
Just get a little cartoon eggnog carton. And the words, the reason for the season around it.
Oh, Zach Mazel Tov having his out there tonight. Very nice. He's got a thing of eggnog.
Well, I gotta try. So I've been to 3 different Targets. They don't have the Kemp's Golden Eggnog, which is my favorite. So I've got this diddly little box of Target brand favorite day eggnog, the inferior eggnog in my
maybe
fridge,
maybe a trip to Hy-Vee or Cub is in order.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
I'll tell you, go to Total Wine.
Oh,
because this eggnog is pre-mixed.
Oh,
I had little samples out on Friday night.
There's something special in that eggnog?
Yep. It's already pre-mixed in the bottle for you.
I don't really drink, so
sad.
Ryan, you're wearing a hood on your head to protect your headphones. I'd start drinking. I got to tell you, if that was me, I'm drinking, brother. Yes, good point. So with the Thanksgiving week, we got a lot of football this week. I mean, with college, you throw that in, you get Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 5 straight days of football coming your way in the next couple of days.
Don't shortchange the Wednesday night Maction.
Oh, right? Can't do that. No, you're right. Maction too. Yeah, for sure.
Maction on Wednesday. You've got some Maction, but you've got Mountain West on Tuesday. So we've got football every day this week, Tim.
You're darn right we do. That's fantastic.
I'm definitely not saying this loud enough for my wife to hear it over her video game.
So, guys, let's talk a little bit about what we saw past week. The game's going on right now as we speak. Chargers, I believe we're up 10-rip on the Ravens. Is that still changed, or is that
10-7 now?
10-7.
10-7. 10-7. Ravens just scored, so we'll keep you updated on that throughout the night. But we'll start with this one like we do every week. Zach, what was your biggest surprise, takeaway, thing of interest, game that you were most fascinated by yesterday, talking point you want to get to?
I thought that as we watched the games, as things really unfolded throughout the day, because we had football banquet last night. So I saw most of the noon games and then had to move on. I think, for me, though, the Cowboys beating the Commanders.
Yep. Big game.
Right, with 24 fourth quarter points was surprising because the Commanders' defense had been pretty good.
Yeah, really good.
And the Cowboys' offense had not been good.
Also true. That kick return was
Cooper
the big.
Flush doesn't do anything for you?
Cooper Rush played well. He in that fourth quarter he played really
well.
I
tell you the same thing I tell my 4 and 5 year olds. We do not make poop jokes in this house. They are not funny.
I disagree, but okay, I'll take your word for it.
There's room for it. I mean, there's room for it. I would agree with that, but I think the big takeaway from that game, beyond the fact that Dallas won, is just like we got to talk to the NFL about saying like, hey, this is why you don't legislate things like the onside kick and kick returns out of the game, because it really makes for some interesting momentum swings. We saw some onside kicks get had yesterday, not just in the Vikings-Bears game, but in that Commanders-Cowboys game. We saw a big kick return. That kick return from Turpin was electric. I mean, that was one of the coolest plays we've seen all year. You got to have those plays in a game. That was super fun to watch.
I think I understand what they were trying to do with like the safety stuff from onside kick, but I really don't think there's that many people being hurt during it. They need to find a way to up the percentage of that they can be recovered, because it's down around 5% now. And historically it had always been around 10. And I just think you need, like, it doesn't even feel like it's a play anymore.
You need the element of surprise a little bit, right? Like, you got to be able to do different things.
But even, I mean, it's fine that they're saying that you have to declare it now. That's fine, because, 99% of onside kicks you knew were coming anyway.
That's true.
But like they've created so many rules around it now that it's so damn hard to recover them.
I would agree.
You can't touch guys till it goes 10 yards, but they can run forward and get it. You can't do this. You can't, there's just so many, right? There's no running head start because you're at the line of scrimmage. They've made it really difficult to recover.
You could do a similar idea to what they have for the standard kickoff now, where you bump the return team back another 10 yards and you create a landing zone, right? No one can move until the ball hits the ground, and then everybody goes.
Then it's like a scrum. Yeah. I'm open to it because I just think it adds a level. Like, that made that Cowboys Commanders game interesting to me. Like, I thought that was super compelling that we got 2 or 3 big special teams plays in that game to go along with, we got a blocked punt, we had a couple missed field goals, we had a missed extra point. I mean, it was really a special teams game. That was cool. I'm a big fan of that.
The Vikings game would have been over, if not for the onside kick too. So
yeah, Johnny Munt can lose his job. Sorry, inexcusable not to know where the ball is in that situation.
They cut some guy today on his birthday.
Was that Johnny Munt? Did they cut Johnny Munt on his birthday?
Hold on. Let me go find it.
Because I think Paul Allen was talking about how it was his bad birthday. He was having a bad birthday or whatever it was.
Tight end Nick Muse.
Okay, it was Nick Muse.
Oh, we cut the wrong tight end.
They cut the wrong guy.
But guys, at 7:30, the Vikings Twitter account tweeted out happy birthday to him.
Oh.
And then at 3:15, they announced they have waived him.
That's hilarious.
Savage.
And not the first time they've done that.
I think they owe somebody an apology. Like, that Vikings, man, what a cutthroat staff, just to make room for Dan Jones. It's so crazy. Since we last left you on this podcast, Daniel Jones was waived by the Giants. He's available. He cleared waivers, I think, this afternoon, so he is available to be signed. There's about 3 or 4 teams that I think are interested. Certainly the Raiders, you have to think, jumped up after Gardner Minshew went down yesterday, although they might go with the Riddler the rest of the year. But what are the odds, Zach, that Daniel Jones is signed by somebody?
Oh, he'll be on a team soon, right? I mean, the waivers have ended. Nobody's going to claim him waiver-wise. So once that goes through, he'll find somewhere. And it sounds like he said he wanted to go to a playoff team.
Makes sense. Be a backup. Maybe get in the game if somebody gets hurt in a big playoff moment. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, I think the other side of that is, do you try to go to, like, say, to Vegas, right? Especially now, Gardner Minshew just broke his collarbone.
Yeah, he's done.
So if you can go there and start for 3-4 weeks and say, hey, like, maybe I'm not the issue, right? Maybe the issue is the Giants, much like with Saquon. And because you get back on, you get back on the field right away, and you can maybe parlay that into a job next year as a starter. Or do you go somewhere and sit on the bench and? Because I don't mean, you look around the league, like
Brandon Allen started yesterday.
That's the point. He's probably good enough to start like on a handful of teams, isn't he?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, like I said, Brandon Allen hadn't seen the field in 3 years, and it looked like it yesterday. I mean, he was lost in that Niners-Packers game. The Packers made him look silly. It was a great performance by Green Bay, but come on, man. Anyway, Ryan, interesting thing about, I guess I don't want to talk about Giants too much, but I will ask you this. It does seem like the Giants players weren't buying into the Tommy Cutlet's going to rally the team vibe. They were pretty frontal, and it seemed like their sadness. They were upset that they were soft. they clearly, Malik Neighbors was chomping gum and he was despondent as they were saying, well, it wasn't the quarterback's fault. Clearly pointing. That's a head coach finger point. I think. Don't you think?
I disagree. I think they can try to play it off like they're pointing the finger at the head coach. But if you're walking around saying you're soft, that's kind of an indictment on the players, isn't it? Like that's your job. Like that's not, you're not saying it's the scheme. You're not saying you put us in bad spots. It's just our execution was soft. We were soft. Like why are you saying that to the media? And why is the media allowing them to say that and allowing it to be a blame on the head coach situation? They're talking about themselves. They're talking about their execution. Coaches are not responsible for your execution. Coaches are responsible for the scheme and putting healthy guys on the field in a position to succeed. And that doesn't sound like what you're criticizing.
It's fair. I just thought it was a really interesting comment. And Neighbors, I got to be honest with you on guys like Neighbors, maybe catch a few touchdowns first. Like maybe be like a really good player before you start acting like a diva. Like, I feel like you got to kind of earn that. Don't you think, Zach?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting coming from him and the way he approached it and complaining about not getting the ball. And I mean, they only threw 5 passes in the first half.
That's true. It wasn't good.
Yeah, and he's probably getting double covered, you would think, with what they have talent-wise. So, yeah, it's not a good situation there. They're going to have to figure out a whole new plan. And, and the problem is right now, the way the league is shaken out, like, they may not be picking very high either, despite having, only a couple of wins. There's going to be a lot of teams that don't have many wins at the end.
That is true.
Right now, they are in the driver's seat for the number 1 pick, though. For now.
Knowing the Giants, though, they'll win this Thursday against the Cowboys.
Oh, yeah.
Like, knowing them, they will absolutely screw this up, and they will go out. And Tommy DeVito will play great, and they'll win the game.
I mean, look at Vegas and Jacksonville both have 2 wins as well.
Yeah, they stink.
And then you still have New England, Carolina, Tennessee, New York, and Cleveland all with 3 wins. So it's not like
your margin for error is small.
Yep.
They make a small hiccup, and all of a sudden they're picking 7th.
Yeah, if you win 2 games and get to 4 or 5 wins, you're all of a sudden picking 10th. Like, you got to, but yet you can't tank in the NFL. You just can't. Like, because guys are playing for dollars and they're putting their bodies on the line. So it's a weird position that the Giants are in. And I don't know what they do. Like, we got a lot of bad teams in the league, though. Oh, my God.
Giants are going to have to completely clean house. This is complete blow up and restart. There's no way you can continue with this group. Like, if it were me, like, I know you just drafted him. Like, Neighbors is gone for picks. Like, some of those defensive guys are gone for picks. Complete rebuild. Create as open and appealing a job opportunity as possible for both coach and GM. Hire the GM first. You know what I mean? Like,
I was watching Saquon last night go just completely bananas. He was unbelievable last night. And all I could think of was John Mara and that Hard Knocks going, boy, if Saquon Barkley, if I wake up tomorrow morning and Saquon's in Philadelphia, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm like, oh boy, there he is. Now, granted, he wouldn't be doing that there. And that's where I think this gets overblown a little bit. But it was still, Saquon put on a show last night. I mean, it was a clinic. It was super impressive. Well, gentlemen, Thanksgiving week, as you know, I wanted to take some time, put a little holiday spirit into our fan base here at the podcast and talk a little bit about what we're thankful for football-wise. I thought we would kind of go around the room here and think about the things we are thankful for this 2024 football season. So for some of us, maybe we're glad that our seasons are over. And now that we had banquets, we can move on. And maybe that's what some of us are thankful for. I don't know. But let's hear around the room. Ryan, what say you? What are you thankful for?
Oh, man. I'm thankful for a quiet Thanksgiving with a family that isn't mine this year.
That's so much for football. I love that.
Hey, like, I'm going to get to sit and enjoy a football game without a house full of screaming kids.
That is something.
There will be my son there, fine, but I'll be able to sit
to be there.
No, I know. I'll be sitting there on the couch, able to watch some football and eat some food.
taking Shabuzi at halftime of the Lions game.
That's right. And I won't have to deal with some uncomfortable conversations, at least for another month. So
congratulations
go football on
that.
Thanksgiving.
There you go. I like that. That's a good place to start. Zach, what are you football thankful for here this Thanksgiving season?
I think I am thankful for another great year of Packers football.
I know, what a gift.
Like,
it's the gift that keeps on giving.
It looks like they should be in the playoffs.
Yep. I think they're in. I think it's a cinch. Yeah,
I think it's now at like, whatever the analytics say, it's at like 90% or something like that. They have a 2-game lead on the last spot, right?
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good spot to be in. But also, I think one thing I was thinking about when we, talking about our technology piece later in the show, but one thing I'm thankful for is just the better camera quality and TV quality for watching the game. Because you even see highlights from, 20 years ago, and it's like, my God, it's terrible.
I went on a mission. I'm glad you brought this up because I really love old school football. And it is very different because you can watch the entire like 94, 93, 95 NFL seasons on YouTube. You just got to go bottom up on like NFL 95 or something like that. And it'll pop up on a big playlist and you can watch full games in their entirety. And it's awesome to be back in your youth, right? It's cool. But at the same time, you're like, oh boy, where's my first down line? Where's my, where's some of my angles?
I could do without the first down line and even like the line of scrimmage line. Like that's such an unnecessary.
There's just things you get back. There's things you grow accustomed to, though. You're right.
But yeah, just the camera quality.
Oh yeah.
Like some of it was really, really rough. So it's kind of nice to see a little clearer picture.
When you think about like snow games back in the day versus like a snow game on Thursday night, that Browns Steelers game, just how different that would have been for us to watch 20 some years ago. It was kind of fun to see it differently.
And there was someone posted the Freeman catch from Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
Against the Vikings.
Oh, don't remind me of that one.
Right?
That's tough.
The one that hit him.
Chris Dishman.
Yeah. And so that was from 2000.
Yeah.
And just even looking at that, I'm like, yeah. You can barely tell which team is which.
Yeah, I think, was that Dennis Miller on lead vocals that night? With
I was there in the booth for that.
Dennis Miller, Dan Fouts, and Al Michaels in lead vocals for that one? That's tough. Yep. Boy, that's a tough break for the Vikes that night. I remember watching that game. That was tough. I like that. So you're thankful for that. You know what I'm thankful for? I'm thankful for some gutsy performances in the last few weeks. Like guys who have picked themselves off the mat. I root for guys who have a little guts and a little bit of like, I am humbled and I'm going to pull myself up and I'm going to get better. And that's Baker Mayfield, who like right now is like one of the 5 most fun players to watch in the league. Like I love watching him on Red Zone now because I just feel like that guy is a competitor. He's fiery as hell and he's playing his ass off. Like there's just very few guys that just play as hard as Baker Mayfield does. Like that guy's awesome. And he has picked himself off the mat and has made himself like a top 10 guy in the league. I think he's awesome. And the other guy yesterday who I was super impressed with that I was watching basically the whole time on Red Zone, I thought Bryce Young played his ass off yesterday. Like it was super fun to watch him hang in there against Kansas City and make some big throws. And I was like, man, I hope that's more to come. I hope so because man, you don't want these guys to all fail, right? You want these guys to be successful, and it makes for a more fun league when there are better guys in the league and good players playing well. And I was happy to see that. So
did you see that Baker Mayfield is now suing his dad and brother?
Is he really?
Apparently they stole about $12 million from him in an investment scheme or whatever.
Boy, that'll put a chip on your shoulder too, won't it? That'll put a little lead in your pencil. I mean, I'll tell you what, after watching that documentary Broke, the football guys, like just, I don't know how you become famous. Like, I don't know how you become rich and famous and keep a family. Like, I just don't know how you do it. You hear about all the tumult between guys like Aaron Rodgers and his family, and you hear about the tumult that you hear on like Patrick Reed on the PGA Tour. And like, I'm just like, man, like this just it just wrecks so many people. It's crazy. That story's bananas. I have to go look that one up. I'm thankful that I'm not rich and famous so that my family can steal money from me. That's there we go. It's another thing I'm thankful for then. I'll put that in my column. Anything else?
I'm thankful for the 10-1 Ohio State Buckeyes taking care of business.
10-1 is not 11-0
NFL
though.
pod, not a college pod.
I'm just saying I'm thankful for it. It's football related. Thankful for my 9-2 Minnesota Vikings.
You know what's funny though is Ryan didn't say a whole hell of a lot during that Ohio State game until the game was over. Like he was pretty quiet early on, especially when, Indiana just marched up the field on him. And
part of that was I was out with the family.
Oh, okay. I just thought I was like a little quiet, and then you got pretty chesty there at the end.
Yeah, because I was actually sitting down and watching it. We were out shopping in the morning.
And yes, your Vikings are 9-2. They almost blew it yesterday, but again, they continue to find ways. So we'll talk about them probably in the power rankings. Anything else football-wise we should get to here, guys, before we move on to the Eliminator? We got a robust dad talk tonight, too, so we want to get to some of those things. Your silence says it all.
I look like I'm wearing a Guardian cap.
Yeah, you do look you look stupid. Can I just say that for the record? You just look dumb as hell. Anyway.
Good.
Yeah. Oh, Zach, that's terrible. All right, let's do it. Let's move a little early to the Eliminator tonight because we have got, like I said, a pretty big dad talk to get to. It's a Thanksgiving edition of Dad Talk, which is what everybody wants anyway. Every week on this podcast, as you know, we eliminate one team for elimination. We have so far eliminated the Giants, the Broncos, which we're going to regret, Jacksonville, Tennessee, Carolina, New England, Cleveland, New Orleans, Las Vegas, Dallas, the Jets, and I believe that's it. Yes? I believe that's it. Ryan, who you nominating tonight?
Bears. It's time. 5, is that 5 straight? It's going to be 6 straight after Thursday.
I mean, the Bears are a blocked field goal, a Hail Mary, and a blocked field goal away from being 8-2 or whatever.
Yeah, but they're not, and they're nowhere close to the division lead, and I don't think that they're 3 games back on the wild card at this point.
So are they like the old hockey standings where they're like 4, 3, 2, and 1? Like if we start doing those stats?
That's there was a lot of Bears fans online today, on Twitter with that kind of stuff. If they just didn't have 2 field goals blocked and they break up the Hail Mary and they only scored 3 points against this team, and they're like, we could be 9-2. And I'm like, so I dropped my
your classic line,
my standard line on them. If my aunt had different plumbing, she'd be my uncle. But yeah, it's. I think it's time for the Bears. There's not really another team that's down,
and I don't see a way forward for them because they're chasing the Commanders, they're chasing the Cardinals, they're chasing the Niners. They've just got to climb so many teams to get in, and I just don't know how they're going to do that. And the Bucs if the Bucs get going, if they get healthy, I'm not ruling out the Bucs yet. Like they can get back in this thing.
Yeah, and the Bucs schedule is weaker down and they're only a game out of first in the division, right? Same thing with the Niners. The Niners are 5-6, but they're only a game out of first. Yeah,
the only downer with the Niners is that they've lost all those division games so far. They're like 0-3 in the division. But you're right. If they run the table
back, that's.
Yeah, if you run the table and you beat all those division teams the second time around and you post, 10-7,
we could be here next week and they could be in first. So
that's true.
Yeah, I think we got to go Bears.
I think we got to go Bears too. I sign off on that. I think the Bears are out. Can anybody knock Denver out for us? I mean, Miami's getting hot. That's the one good news is Miami's getting hot, and maybe that's enough to run them down.
Miami's a game and a half back. So it'll be interesting to see them this on Thanksgiving night at Green Bay, which I'm still trying to scheme a way to get to. But
that's going to be a tough. If they win that game in Green Bay, though, the schedule really opens up for them to go on a little bit of a run.
Right. And, I think the Colts, it's getting late for them, but their schedule down the stretch, the teams left, they have like Patriots, Broncos, Titans, Giants, and Cheetahs. So
you get some head-to-heads against the Broncos. Somebody's got to win those.
Right. So they got 5 left and they have 1 against the Broncos, and they could win out too. So, it's not, we're
Broncos,
not dead yet.
The Broncos get the Browns on Monday night next week, which, by the way, yawn. And
Unless
then
Jameis wins that game, then it's interesting to us. We need the root for the Browns.
It's true. But then you
or
do
it snows.
then you do
Yeah,
get the
could snow.
Colts, and then you get the Chargers, Bengals, Chiefs. So, I mean, Denver's road there isn't great, and the Bengals, if they can figure it out, they could be a dangerous team here too, because their schedule's really, frankly, pretty easy down the stretch. That Broncos game is the only really tough one they have left, other than their Steelers game next week.
I got to tip my cap to Bo Nix. I mean, his last 5-6 games, he's got 19 touchdowns and 2 picks. I mean, he's playing his ass off. And now Cortland Sutton looks like a number 1 wide receiver. I'm worried. I'm a little worried. Denver's is going to be hard to beat, but I'm rooting for everybody to do it because we want to win this thing. So Chicago, you are eliminated. You're out. See you later. You are off to the eliminator.
You were mentioning him possibly as rookie of the year.
Yeah.
But how about Bowers at tight end?
He's had a good year too. Yeah, he's played well.
Phenomenal.
I think his only downer is just where he plays, but you're right. He's put up some terrific numbers. He's played really, really well.
Well, the other side of that too is you think about the expectations that he had coming out of college. Like, he was supposed to be this super athletic tight end prospect, and he's just lived up to billing. And I think at some point you got to give a guy credit for that, where it's, it's not just that he hasn't, that he's had a good rookie season as a quarterback. The guy is a specimen. He's really, really good.
He's done well too, considering who's throwing him the ball, right? With Minshew and now Ritter, but I'll just call him the Riddler from now on. You got him, you got, Aiden O'Connell. I mean, he's gonna be on his 4th guy probably coming up here soon. So
Ryan, are you worried the Vikings drafted the wrong quarterback and let Nick slide?
No.
Oh,
not at all.
Pretty good.
And Bo Nix looks pretty good, Ryan. I don't know.
Not worried.
Instead, not worried. Draft the guy who threw for 8 yards a game in college, running the Army offense.
Well, I mean, he wasn't
close.
I think this is bad karma that Ryan's got the F Michigan stuff up, and he's got all the M's X'd off on his social media, but yet he wants to build the future around a Michigan quarterback. So
once you put the purple on, I don't care where you went to college. Josh Metellus also went to Michigan.
It's true. Fair enough. So are you rooting against the Chargers tonight because of Jim Harbaugh?
No, I don't really care.
Okay, fair enough. Any apologies that you want to make? Do you want to apologize to Bo Nix, Ryan? Will you do that right now?
I will say that I think that I need to offer an apology to Curt Cignetti. Not sarcastically. I think that he was treated horribly this week with some things that were out of his control. I mean, I know that the Google Me thing is a fun bit for them, and they don't have a ton in Indiana, and I get why, that was a fun thing for them, but he said it out of exasperation. I get it. You were in a long press conference. He shouldn't be held accountable for that. It's just a fun joke. It's an unfortunate thing for a good coach, and that program's going to be pretty good pretty soon.
He does win. I mean,
yeah, I know. I'm not denying that.
Yeah,
I'm not saying he doesn't.
Act like one lost Ohio State and he's dog water all of a sudden.
I'm not saying he is. He's a good coach. That's a program that's going to get pretty good. Let's see if they can sustain this. But
I think he's coach of the year right now. He's coach of the year and I don't think there's anybody who can unseat him. Maybe Dion, but I don't think so. I think this has been the best coaching job in college football. Yeah. He's done the best job.
So anyway, that's
Peach wishes he could have Curt Cignetti's year. Just one good Curt Cignetti year. Peach wishes he had one of those. By the way, another nice big win for Peach over the weekend. 1 point loss to Penn State in a game they had won. God damn it. Any apologies for you, Zach?
No, I can't think of anything.
Yeah, I got to apologize to the Minnesota Vikings for a second because I was angry in Costco. Walking the aisles of Costco, hearing that the game was tied, and looking at my phone and seeing that the game was tied, and I was upset. I was upset. Because they didn't have my little bowls of cereal that I could buy in the variety pack. Couldn't find those anywhere. I hate when they move shit around and I can't find anything. And then to hear on top of it that the game was tied, what the hell are we doing? I was upset.
Right.
I said some things.
That your text of the Vikings deserve to lose.
Yeah.
That's just a scheduled text that comes every week.
That might be true. I have that in the chamber pretty much every Sunday. I load it up at about noon and just wait to fire it.
You've endured a lifetime of pain at the hands of this team.
It's a lot of pain. I don't think you understand.
Anyone begrudges you of that. Certainly not me. But you do say it every week.
Ryan wasn't here for 98. He wasn't here for 41 Donut.
That's not true.
I was here for 87. He wasn't here for 1987. Leo Lewis dropping the ball. Darren Nelson dropping the ball. Darren Nelson in the end zone had it, dropped it. You weren't here for those, Ryan.
I was here for 98. I was here for 2000.
For 41 Donut?
Yeah.
Do you know where you were?
I mean, anyway. I was watching it at my grandpa's house, but
yeah, that was, again, I just have to say that I'm sorry for the Vikings because I was angry and I said some stuff out of turn, and I'm sorry. So please accept my apology. All right. I feel better. Now that I got that out of my system. Let's do power rankings. Every week on this pod, we do our ranking of the top 5 teams of the league. And we can't seem to agree. Zach and I have been in alignment a little bit more than Ryan and I have been in alignment, but let's see how it goes this week. I'll start. Number 5, kind of by process of elimination, I've got the Minnesota Vikings at 5. They're 9-2. I think eye test wise, there are teams I would put in front of them. Quite a few, but I can't argue right now they're 9-2, while those other teams that I think are better are losing games. The Vikings are not. So 9-2, I have them at 5. Ryan.
My number 5 team is the Philadelphia Eagles, unchanged from last week. Keep winning. You look really good. You have a potential MVP candidate running back, which is rare. More power to him, man. That defense is playing lights out too. So Philly's at 5.
Zach. Oh, you're on mute. Unmute yourself.
Sorry about that.
There you go.
I've got the Chargers at 5. They're down 14-13 right now to the Ravens, but at half, we'll see how this game shakes out. But they're my 5th team.
I think that's fair. I like that. Number 4, why don't you lead us coming back?
Yeah, the 4th team is the Eagles at 9-2. You know, their strength of schedule is not great, but they're winning a lot of games, and they've been hot lately, right? I mean, they haven't lost since week 4.
Yeah, they've been hot, red hot.
And they've, their schedule hasn't been too difficult the last handful, like we said, but, we'll see now. They got the Ravens coming up here and a couple other decent games down the stretch, but I got Philly.
I have Eagles at 4 as well, so I'll just sneak that in there because we agree. Ryan, who's your 4?
My 4 is the Minnesota Vikings. Just keep winning.
Do you think, though, the eye test, you have the Vikings better than the Eagles? You think they're better than the Eagles?
I mean, defensively, I think that they could stop the Eagles' offense. I think that they could absolutely do that. And then offensively, I think they can hang with anybody. Darnold seems to have bounced back from that funk that he was in, kind of after the few weeks after the Detroit game. And the last 2 weeks, he's looked really good. So I think that's kind of the key for them. So eye test wise, I'm not too worried, right? Like, this is a team that they are battle tested. They win 1-score games. They win close games. And I don't know how you compete with that kind of experience in the NFL. It's not something that other teams have to the level the Vikings have it. They're well coached, they're talented, and they win close games. That's a recipe for success.
So I have Philly at 4. So we're working with a pretty similar grouping so far. I at number 3, because they were at idle, I had them at 2 last week, but they sat this week, so I had a chance to watch other things. So it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. I got Buffalo at 3. Again, the bye is probably good for them, and they are a really good team. They passed my eye test for sure. I think they can definitely represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. Really like what I see. They're my 3rd team. Ryan, take us back with 3.
My number 3 team is the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, it's hard to argue with the record right now. I mean, they're 10-1, but you lose last week, and you nearly lose to the Carolina Panthers this week. I mean,
they were never trailing in that game, though, in fairness.
You're right. That is fair. All I'm saying, though, is it's a 3-point game to the worst, arguably the worst team in the NFL. Good game for Carolina for sure. I mean, obviously you have nothing to lose in that situation, but I mean, it's still, you lost last week, and then to come out and put that game up is not great. So I'll keep them at 3.
Zach.
I've got Buffalo at 3. They're a good team, and the AFC is going to be fun to watch in the playoffs. But right now, I can't, even though they beat the Chiefs, like I said last week, I'm not going to panic with one Chiefs loss and move them up. So they're at 3.
Number 2, lead us back.
The Lions. The Lions are my number 2 team.
Mm.
That's where I had them last week as well. They're beating teams, and they're beating them soundly right now, which is impressive, right? They're not in really any close games. And now we'll see how this Bears game goes for them on Thursday. And then coming back with another Thursday game with Green Bay should be fun to watch too. So, some good NFC North games coming up here.
Yeah, they could wrap the division. They could really put themselves in a great spot with a win over Chicago and Green Bay in back-to-back weeks. Could really set them up nicely to take it home here. That's a good one at number 2. Ryan, who's your 2?
My number 2 is Buffalo. I mean, we saw it last week, just a little bit better than Kansas City right now. I know they're idle this week, not a whole lot else to say, but I like Buffalo right now for that AFC.
Yeah, I have 2 coming back. So are we at 2 for me? Yeah, 2 coming back. So 2, I have got Kansas City at 2. Bill Simmons makes me laugh because he refers to Kansas City as the Milton Berle team, where they pull out just enough to get the job done, basically. And that's kind of that. There's more there. There's more in the chamber for Kansas City than what they're showing, and I think that's true. Offensively, they move the ball all over the field. I felt like they could score at will. It looked like they got Hopkins involved. They got Kelsey involved. Noah Gray was involved. Hunt. They're getting Pacheco back soon. Mahomes was running, and he made a big play at the end. Just a big sack play at the end of a game to win it. I just really like what Kansas City is, and I think they're the best coach team. I just think there's a lot to like. So they're 2 for me. And so that means my number 1 this week is Detroit. I'll keep them there. I think that I agree with Ryan. I just think they find what they just continued, and Zach too. I agree. They just do all the little things right. They just do all the things that they need to do to win. They got the 2-headed attack with Montgomery and Gibbs, and it just feels like those 2 are unstoppable. Like they can get stuff. And they've got guys at wide receiver, like Tim Patrick's coming up making 20-yard catches, and it just seems like they can do whatever they need to do to win games. I give them credit. They're my number 1 team right now. They've played the best. Brian, who's your 1?
My 1 is also Detroit. Winning games convincingly in the NFL is always a plus. I think they've had, outside of the loss to Tampa, which was a 1-score game, I think they've only played in 2 other 1-score games this season.
That's right.
3 other. Sorry. So they had a 1-score game against the Cardinals. They won. The Vikings, they won by 2 points, and 3-point win over Houston. But other than that, it's been blowouts.
And again, never playing outside, always playing in these conditions that are predictable. I mean, when we said at the beginning of the season that they were going to play 14 games in a dome this year, had to be an advantage. And it seems like it's certainly an advantage right now.
Especially when their identity is offensive. I mean, I feel like that you want as many predictable variables as possible on offense. It's hard to beat.
Sure is. Number 1 for you, Zach?
I have the Chiefs. I'm sticking with it. I know it wasn't the most impressive win, but again, they're winning, right? And I think
Carolina's better. Like Carolina's played a lot better in the last month than what I think people are giving them credit for. Like Bryce Young's played better.
Back-to-back road games after a tough, Bills game. Like again, these are not things that have me panicking. And I think that, the Chiefs are going to score 28 points a game or so, and their defense is good enough to hold teams under that. So I think it's going to be tough to beat them. And down the stretch here, I mean, there's a couple of, okay games, but the Lions schedule is way tougher, I think, than the Chiefs down the stretch.
I think that's true. Be interesting to watch. It'll be fun. All right, we are now to our Thanksgiving edition of Dad Talk. We wrap up the football side of the pod. Talk Dad Talk. Last week, before we left, we started getting into a topic that we just decided to put a pin in and wait for this week. And that was, if you could take one modern invention besides the phone, if you could take one modern invention back with you to your teenage youth, for me, the mid-90s, for Zach, the mid-90s, for Rhino, probably the mid-2000s. And then some other people were chiming in on my Facebook page this week, giving me stuff from the 70s and 80s. we start with this. We got a robust dad talk to get to tonight, so we got to make sure we get it all in. So that's why we're starting it a little early. So I thought we would move around the horn first and talk about the 3 things we would take with us. And again, you can take one thing, and then I'll list some of the ideas that were pitched to me from our listening audience. So, Zach, I'll start with you. You go back to your youth, your teenage youth. You could take one modern invention back with you. What are you taking?
So I had a hard time with this, coming up with something that I felt would be like really advantageous. You know, I thought about some of the video game stuff, but I don't know that I would want to give up what we had.
Yeah, I do love our video games. I love those. I wouldn't trade them.
You know, so that makes it like that kind of crossed that off for me. You know, I think the invention of GPS, and I know we use it through our phones, might be the best thing. Like, do you remember printing out maps from map
Oh,
books?
God, yeah. Or even worse, just writing directions down by hand on a piece of paper.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
right at this light, right at that, left at this light, go to this stop sign.
Yeah, and so I think that is, in the end, what my leader was. You know, there's not a whole lot of things, though, that I was like, man, I really like that. And I read the list, and there were some things that I thought were kind of funny, and we'll get to some of those other suggestions.
Yeah, I'll throw some of them out in a second. But yeah,
you know,
GPS was brought up too. GPS was certainly something that was named.
Yep. Caitlin said she would take the Google Home.
Yes.
We have a Google Mini that's plugged in, and she said she notices it big time when they go up to her parents for a couple days, because her parents do not have one of those.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things she said she notices, whether it's just setting a timer for when they're cooking, to, you know, asking it a question. She's like, I feel like a peasant now that I have to type it into my phone and ask. So that was her pick.
Yes, the Google Home or the Amazon Alexa or whatever the heck you'd call it. Okay, some people really love that stuff. I don't have one of those in my house, but I know some people love it. And Caitlin, clearly one of those that subscribes to that product.
Many of them.
Many?
Yep.
Do you need many?
Well, we have one in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And we have one in the bedroom. And the bedroom one, you know, they're just Google Minis, so they're not like the big ones, but like that sets our alarm every day.
Okay.
You know, I liked it. You could listen to radio from wherever.
Oh.
You know, so if you wanted to listen to a football game that wasn't on here, right? If I wanted to get the Packers game, I could just say tune into this station and get things like that at the time. And so there's a lot of things for it. The boys have one in their room. We don't use it much. Brooke had one. I don't know if she uses hers much anymore either, but we do. I mean, the one in the kitchen gets used a lot.
I like that. So, okay, that makes good sense. I love that. So a good nomination for that, and the Google and GPS in the car. Definitely in the car too. The one that's hardwired in the car right now, hard to argue with that. I like having GPS in the car, even with my phone, but I like having it in the car as well. It's great. I'm a big GPS guy, especially as a former pizza delivery driver in his teenage and early 20s youth. Boy, that would have saved me some time if I could have just been punching that into the map. Oh my God. It's got to be an Uber driver's dream. Rhino, if you go back to your youth. Oh, go ahead, Zach.
Hold on. That might be my pick.
The GPS?
No, Uber.
Oh, Uber. Oh, Uber is interesting. Yeah. Interesting.
Now that you say that might be mine. It simplifies so many things.
Logistically, especially if you go out with your friends at night on a Friday, something like that.
You don't need to have the designated driver, because you have that. You can, right, when we're going to Vegas in a couple of weeks, we can get around there rather than taking the bus or trying to get a taxi. Or that might be my pick.
Uber's not bad. That's good. I like that. So we got a few different options on the table. Rhino, where are you going?
Controversial pick here. I'm going to take the weed pen. You mean to tell me that I don't have to smoke flower in my family's house and get caught? I can just go out to the garage and no one's going to know? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm taking that. Family holidays are about to get a whole lot easier for old teenage Ryan.
Oh, I love it. Although you're gonna fail all your conduct stuff for sports, your high school stuff. Your high school career is gonna be done, finished.
I didn't get tested. I was in speech and theater, baby. We were all weird.
That's fair. Okay, so GPS, Google Home, Uber and a weed pen so far as the stuff up for suggestion. I put a couple. Go ahead, Ryan.
I was say I'll come back around and say 4K high definition television.
Yeah, somebody else, Ryan talked about, or Zach, you talked about that earlier in the show, but I think, but other people had mentioned that too. HD TV, having a big screen, flat screen TV has just changed everything, right? That before you had these TVs, like if you had a big screen in your house, it was 150 pounds. I mean, it was the heaviest thing, and it was big and it was bulky. You couldn't wheel it in the front door of your house. You had to wheel it in through the back.
And the cost of it
was astronomical,
right? I mean, I remember I had a TV in my room, and it was probably the size of this laptop that I'm talking to you on.
Right.
But that was, and I mean, I had that in all the way in like through my dorm room.
Yeah. I grew up on a little black and white TV about the size of my laptop thing. I was like, it's great. The 6-inch screen, I'll tape it to my eye and I'll watch Saturday Night at Ringside on that one. That'll be great. So it's hard to argue with the HD and the big screen TVs. Hard to argue with that. That's a very good choice. I like those. I will offer you, I'm going to go something very practical, something I know I use all the time, and it's the air fryer. I mean, you think about your only options when you were younger. Oftentimes it's like, man, if it wasn't microwavable, or because the whole oven, if you were going to try to cook a pizza at midnight, I mean, it was just a process. You had to go downstairs, set a preheat, you got to go back, It's like the air fryer is just great. It's like, it's just 10 minutes or 7 minutes or 6 minutes. It makes it crispy. I hate the microwave because everything's soggy. Like nothing ever comes out crispy in the microwave. So I like the air fryer. I've become a big fan of it. I use it for everything. So air fryer would definitely be one of the things that comes back with me. Ryan, I know you like to cook everything yourself, but you'd take an air fryer back with you.
Well, no, I have an air fryer and I really don't use it very much. If I'm going to use a convection oven for something, I'm probably going to use my smoker. Here's the thing.
Weed pen and smoker coming back with Ryan, just for the record, write that down.
I'm not taking the smoker, because here's the thing, right? As much as I like the auger filled automatic pellet smokers, those are great. They take a lot of the stress out. There's something kind of magical about going out and fueling the wood yourself and making sure you've got quality stuff and making sure it's dry and there's a ritual to it. I like that when I'm cooking, and you can get
Hallmark. That's a Hallmark movie. That's like, this is beautiful.
A Hallmark movie about cooking brisket, I'm in.
Yeah, Lacey Chabert is going to come into your small town and meet you while you're making brisket in a smoker.
But if I'm going to take something back with me, I'm taking my streaming services.
See, somebody else brought up streaming services.
Okay.
I won't bring those up. I can't.
So this was that is a terrible, terrible option. Why I'm so like, dude,
I don't want to wait a week to watch the episode that I missed.
Okay, but here's the problem. I have to subscribe to 6 different services.
That's true.
And then I have to hope that the movie I want to watch is being cycled through on one of those services.
Then I'll compromise and say this: give me DVR.
That I would say is better.
I'll concede the DVR to you with the regular cable service.
Give me the $8 DVD over the streaming service.
Yeah,
100%.
I will go back to owning your CDs and owning your DVDs. Yep. I would like to go back to that.
And here's
your stuff.
Here's the thing with the streaming service stuff too, right? So when cable TV first came out, it was advertised as like, yeah, you got to pay for it, but there's no commercials, right? And that didn't last long. And then streaming was the same way. Streaming, right? Well, you're not going to have to pay for, no commercials. And now we got commercials up the ass in streaming too. And someone should just bundle all these services together, charge $100 a month, and call it cable.
Yep,
it's not better.
It's going to get back to that. Don't you think it'll all come back around at some point, and it will just become cable again? It will just be all the way back around.
And also, I think Pete said streaming is music.
Yeah, the streaming music.
That's
Spotify.
He said being able to listen to any song you want at any time. I said that was spoken like someone who didn't have the 5-disc changer in their trunk.
Yeah. That's somebody who just didn't make a burned CD on LimeWire or make a mixtape off the radio. That's his fault. You gotta make a better mixtape. I loved having my big rack of CDs because it was like pride of ownership. I want people to know the bands that I'm supporting. I'm buying their music because I like their stuff and I think they should be compensated.
I used to burn my own.
You just don't respect artists, do you, Ryan?
I was 14.
I didn't have
a job.
Here's some ideas that were listed from some of our listeners. Brenda, who's one of our senior listeners, said that late 70s, early 80s is when she was a teen, so she would take seat warmers. Which I got to tell you, I'd take seat warmers from the 90s too. Having a seat warmer in the winter, that's a win. I like those.
When I saw that one, I thought about remote start for the car.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Remote start. Yeah, for sure. That's a great one. I agree. I like remote start. You did get a little love there for GPS. Candy corn roasted peanuts mix. Apparently that wasn't around back in our youth. I don't know. Lauren, our friend of the show, of course, as you know, Lauren Nelson Kane chimed in with pimple patches and chemical exfoliant. Must have that. Ripping your skin off with ineffective pore strips and basically dousing your face in alcohol, exfoliating with apricot scrub. Microbeads basically set my adolescent skin back a decade.
Can you tell what she was doing when she posted that? Just want to be on the same page here.
The weed pen?
No, that's what I was doing.
See, Ryan goes weed pen. Lauren goes with exfoliant and pimple patches.
Can I add Prozac to the list? Maybe that's something we can bring back.
There you go. Well, Prozac's been here, hasn't it? Hadn't Prozac been?
Not in this iteration.
Old friend of mine, Colleen in Colorado, says car backup cameras with the guiding lines.
Yeah.
So she wouldn't have had to take her driver's test 4 times. Oh, that's fantastic. I love it. Apparently Tom is way older than me because cars with cup holders. I don't know a time when cars didn't have cup holders, didn't they? I mean, I guess they did.
Like
if you had the
thing in the 90s.
Is getting a car with cup holders?
The early 90s, yeah.
Yeah. I can listen to that. So some really good ones in this conversation of all the things they'd take back, which was
I have one other one.
Yeah.
The French fry containers that fit in your cup holders.
Oh, yeah.
I'd bring back with me.
That's, the way that they package the sandwiches in general at the fast food places might be a convo.
You didn't want the styrofoam cube?
Yeah, bring the styrofoam back. Let's do it.
I'm good with a paper wrapper. Anything that I can just unwrap and hold with paper while I drive, I'm good with it.
See, that's going to be part 2 of this, is what thing from our youth would we want to bring back today? Like, that could be the next great conversation.
Bring back the fullback position.
I was going to say the same thing. Fullbacks.
Bring back the fullbacks. I love
it. As a former fullback, I demand representation. Everybody else gets representation. Why don't the fullbacks?
Bring back the fullback.
I want DEI fullback programs.
Bring me back the $2.99 2 cheeseburger thing at McDonald's. The extra value when it was $2.99. I mean, come on, man.
Bring back the dollar menu with the $1 cheeseburgers and McChickens.
Please do. Please bring that back. That'll be great.
Can we make the beefy 5-layer burrito 99 cents again?
Yes. Yes.
I'm going to run for president, and that's what I'm running on.
Maybe call your guy Trump. Tell him to get right on that.
My guy.
Yeah, see if he'll get right on that for you.
He's too busy raising taxes. I'm done. Sorry.
Anyway, so that was great. We'll have to talk more about that as we go. If you have stuff that you heard that you want to add to that, again, drop us a line. Facebook.com/Tim Podcast. You can email me at timpodcast1@yahoo.com. You can send me, you can comment right here on podbean.com, the site, timpodcast.podbean.com. You can send it right there. That'd be great. All right, guys, more dad talk. Let's change gears. Zach.
Yeah, sweet. Two stories here from the little guys. So Huck has been having a hard time hitting the toilet recently. He's peeing on the floor.
Oh boy. And
we're like, what the hell is going on?
But just serious aim issues.
Anytime you try to go in there, he's like, privacy. So finally, after like multiple issues of this, Caitlin's like, you don't get privacy anymore.
You got
And
aim
so-
issues.
Right. So she pokes her head in there, and he's sitting on the toilet, hands behind his head, leaning back like it's a recliner.
That's hilarious.
And Caitlin's like, well, you know why he's not hitting the toilet anymore?
Because he's too relaxed. He's way too relaxed.
So
Oh my god. That's
that
so
was my
funny.
hug story.
That's a great hug story.
With Gehrig, he so we've been watching football, right? And so the logos come up on the screen, and he just, like we said, right? He's a Cheetahs fan.
Big Cheetahs fan here. And we are too at the podcast. We're going to embrace the Cheetahs.
So he was asking me all week, when do the Cheetahs play again? Of course, it's their bye week. But so on Thursday, or I mean, not on Thursday, on Saturday, we're watching Georgia game is on. And he looks at the screen and he goes, what color even are the Packers? Because they got the same G up there. And so I'm like, it's not the same team, bud. So he now refers to them as the Red Packers and the Green Packers. And then on Sunday, it's after the first game, before the second game, so you're getting the highlights. And the Lions-Colts game pops up with the logos. And he says, oh, are you watching the Lions and the Magnets?
I have been an Indianapolis Magnets fan for years.
It took me a moment to figure it out. I'm like, okay, now I get it now. I see what he's saying.
It's amazing that he sees that. He doesn't go like horseshoes or anything like that. He just goes right to the Magnets. That's impressive.
And then the last one, which was ironic, was it goes to the Chiefs and Panthers. And he goes, oh, the Jaguars are playing. So I think I'm considering we'll be making a schedule release video for our softball team and just showing him all the logos of the different high schools in the area and letting him hit them all for that.
That's brilliant.
You got to put the NFL on Fox song over there.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love it. I love the fact that the Panthers don't exist anymore, that it's the Cheaters, the Cheetahs and the Jaguars. That's really good. I like that.
Yeah, you just saw the cat and
I respect it. You know what? I love it. the Magnets.
Yeah,
somebody got to call Ursay right now and say, hey, this Colts thing's not working. You need to become the Magnets. That's when you're going to sell some tickets around here. Go to a Magnets game. That'd be great. Rhino, what's new in your front in the dad talk world?
Man, I got my first notification from daycare today that he did not take a nap at daycare. It says he rested for approximately 2 hours, but did not sleep. Let me tell you how much I buy that. I don't buy that at all. When anybody says that this kid rested, it just means that he maybe read a book for 15 minutes and then ran around the room. It's not been good on the sleep front. I'm not going to lie to you. He's not going down easy. He's getting up in the middle of the night. He's tearing stuff off the wall. I had to go in there and clean up diaper cream off of the back of the door and off of the carpet because he found it. I don't know where he found it.
Got to do it. Got to do it. If you find it, you got to use it.
I didn't know it was. I didn't know it was in there and in reach. So hey, I guess that one's on me.
Yeah.
He
total failure on your part.
He bested me on that one. Best thing that we can do is just kind of look at the film and come back and be better next time. We're down to our last nook in the house, which again, I got to say at 2 years old, I thought maybe we'd be past this, but maybe that was wishful thinking on my part. Again, got to go back to the film and figure out a better plan there. Execution's not been great on my end.
You got to be better. Starts with you.
Yeah,
I mean, it does.
Truly does. Dinner's been a nightmare. The dog has gained approximately 4 inches around his waist.
Well, because the kid's never sleeping. I watched the dog just walk up the stairs. He looks like he's spent. He's got to constantly patrol the house.
That's not a walk. That's a slow trudge. He sort of rolls up and down the stairs more than he walks.
Lumbers. Yeah, he's lumbering right now.
That's an Australian Shepherd. That is a proud herding dog, and he is fat. He is fat, and he is having heart palpitations at the squirrel, which is eating the pumpkin outside of our window. I got to tell you, it's pretty mid over here right now. Not a whole lot of new news, but not a whole lot of good news either.
You got to be better. I mean, it starts with you. I mean, I think it's what
we're just kind of mild we're kind of mild in the doldrums of mid-season here, right?
Yeah.
We just got to find some ways to shake it up.
Yeah.
Winter's coming
right now. We need a tip ball. We need something to go the other way. We need
someone. I need someone to throw an elbow under the basket. And just spice this thing up a little bit because the crowd's going to sleep.
Need a tip pass. We need something. We need a little holding penalty. We need something going the other way.
I need someone's music to hit right now and run down that runway in the worst way because this thing is just dragging. We got nothing. The crowd's not paying attention.
Speaking of teams that need to shake things up a little bit, that Gophers basketball team is bad.
That's not a good team.
It's not a good team. Well, they almost got beat tonight by Central Michigan.
Very nice.
They got to get rid of the coach. Has got to be fired.
Yeah, Ben John. I mean, this idea of I admired the idea of hiring an alum and for cheap, and he's young, and you hope that's going to work, but it's just not there. Like
he hires someone based on credentials, not where they went to high school.
I would agree with this.
It's such a Minnesota thing.
It's partly because you gotta. They don't want to pay to get a high price guy in here. And so, because you always worry they're going to leave as soon as they get here, it's like, well, take that chance. I'll take that chance.
You couldn't even get the right Patino.
If Patino didn't do a bad job here, I mean, he really didn't do a bad job.
I would have kept him around, but for another year at that point. But if they leave because they improved, then your whole program has risen as well.
Yeah,
right. They're not gonna get hired away if they're not winning. And the reality is, most guys do not leave Power 5 jobs for other Power 5 jobs.
It's true.
The only time that really happens is guys going to where they went to school, right? They get an alumni job or whatever,
Purdue. Purdue got it right. They kept Matt Painter, who was just a good basketball coach, and he's actually a good recruiter on top of it. And they've just been winning for 25 years. So go figure.
Yeah.
Just get a guy who knows basketball.
Back to the dad talk stuff. So we bought a bag, a giant trash bag of Legos.
Jesus.
Right? I don't think we talked about this last week.
No, where did you get that?
Off Facebook.
Okay.
Got it for just a steal. And Carter's big into Legos. So he came over from his mom's when I was let's go through this. And so he started we dumped it out into a big bin and he started looking and all of a sudden he was just he'd pull out a random piece and be like, this is from the 2010 Star Wars blah, blah, blah set. He just it's amazing. The knowledge he had of just pulling things out.
That's pretty sick.
We sat there for 2 hours just picking out pieces and sorting things. And then I sorted it some more this week. So we kind of got some plans to build some of the old things, both from my youth and from when he was younger. So
that's really cool that he was into it too. That's fun when he sees something that's cool like that and he dives in. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then Brooke will be home from school. She's supposed to come home tomorrow night. That's kind of weather pending and stuff, She's not thrilled driving at night if there's weather and stuff, but it sounds like it's going to be okay. So
yeah, it's going to be cold though. Yeah, definitely going to be cold.
Yeah,
I wish her well.
For sure. But so she'll come back and she won't be here when the tree gets cut down. That's in the morning, but
the wife is going to make me go on Thursday to the big Bentleyville light show in Duluth on Thanksgiving. So we're going to be ducking out about 2:00 to drive up there, taking the lights, freeze my ass off. I've never been. So I'm told it's great. I'm told it's a fun time and I'm sure I'm going to love it, but it's going to be cold. It's going to be cold for me. I got to try to prep for it. But yeah, I've been putting it off. We've been married, 11 years and I've been putting it off. And now this year I have to cash in. And she's like, we're going on Thanksgiving. What do you think? I think I have to go, don't I? Yes, you do.
It could be worse. You could spend Thanksgiving with your family.
Fair.
My kids have been there. They went with my parents, Brooke and Carter. And it's pretty cool. I mean, it's probably something you got to do once.
You do have to do it once, I think. I think you're right. And so I'm going to try to enjoy it. I'm bringing a good attitude to it, and we're going to take it in. Big light show. It's going to be fun.
We went, I think 5-6 years ago.
And you liked it?
Yeah, it was fun. Lauren loved it. It's not really my dish, but it was fun.
So I think if I did it, I'd want to stay up there.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm looking at the 2-hour drive home. Like, I'm looking at that going, tough scene, but I think I'm going to have to do it.
And there's usually a line to get in when it's opening, right? So you're not in like right at dark, and it's kind of like a whole thing, I feel like.
Yeah, we're going to have to, I told her, we're going to have to get up there early, find a place to park. Then we're going to kind of have to hang out around there until it's time to go in. And maybe, hopefully, especially since Thanksgiving, there may not be a lot open. Maybe we'll get lucky. There'll be a little restaurant open or something. We can hang out for a little bit. We'll see. But yeah, we'll see. I've never been. And so I'll report back on that next week here on the podcast, and we'll see how it goes.
I think our Christmas light extent will be when they light the Christmas tree here in Coon Rapids. So
yeah, because it's your tree.
We do get a reserved parking spot this year.
You do. Yeah, it's your tree.
As part of the benefits.
The house of knee neighbor. That's where that tree comes from. It's going to be fantastic. You got to tell us all about that. We should go celebrate that with you. We'll bring the pod. It'll be a fun time.
I think it'll be cool to watch. Like, I'm interested to see the process of how they cut down this 40-foot tree and drop it on the back of the truck and drive it out of here.
Well, yeah, you might. I think you want to watch it anyway, just to make sure they do a good job. You know,
yeah,
you want to make sure.
I mean, we got nothing else to do.
You got to survey
it. My grades are in, like you said, so I'll go in and get a few things ready. And how about this? We're doing book clubs.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I don't hate our book clubs because like our kids usually read. I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing that's your experience, right? They don't.
Yeah,
read.
The kids don't read. A lot of kids will openly confess, "Hey, Anderson, I haven't read a book in 4 years." I'm like, that's nothing to be proud of, Junior. Like, you need to actually like read the book.
My sister-in-law said that my brother's doing a book club. I didn't know he could read.
You mark my words, 5-10 years, we'll be back to textbooks and survey reads and making
how
sure
about
we should be doing phonics in elementary school. That's what we should be doing. We shouldn't need literacy coaches in middle school.
I'll take it up with Linda McMahon. Anyway.
We ordered books for this.
Yes.
Because we do like, so for our first one, because they've never done it before. They've never done book clubs.
Really?
What? 6th grade.
That's true. No, you're right. You're right.
They haven't done the book club before. So we have to teach them. So the first one we all do the same book.
Yep.
So we ordered the books for it. They have not arrived yet. we're supposed to start them on Friday. And we're
terrific.
Right. Yeah. So who knows?
Well, I wish you well on that one. Gentlemen, another Thanksgiving. I hope you guys have a great one. We'll chat on Monday. No doubt Dad Talk will be full of good Thanksgiving and holiday stories as we move our way into the month of December. We will be December 2nd for our next football podcast. So we are into the home stretch of the fantasy football regular season and the NFL season. Just about a little over a month to go in the regular season. Going to be fun to watch down the stretch here this year. I want to thank everybody for continuing to listen to the podcast. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. And for Ryan, for Zach, for everybody here at the podcast, this is Tim saying, keep your head up. Happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you.